Hey guys, so a lot of you guys have been asking me about my reaction to It, which I saw last night. I figured the best way to do it would be to record myself kind of, talking about it and my thoughts on it and everything instead of just typing everything out. If you've seen my previous posts, obviously I loved it. Really enjoyed the movie. I was a big fan of the original when it first released. As all of us were about that age, when it first came out. I think I was about 5 or 6, maybe 7 when it first came out. I watched it when it came on TV originally with my mom. And coming from that generation, Pennywise scared the hell out of me. Tim Curry was fantastic. The kids were fantastic back then, but obviously it was made for TV, so there was some limitations on what they could do. But anyway, I rewatched it not too long ago, and I could really definitely see the shortcomings as an adult on what they did. I feel like they did a lot with it. For what they could do on TV at that time with it being a made-for-TV movie. And by no means am I saying it's not a classic, because it's a classic. It's just watching it with, older eyes and more mature eyes, and I've seen a lot more movies since then. I can definitely see the shortcomings they had, and kind of like the nostalgia goggles, I kind of tried to take them off a little bit. But by no means am I saying it's a bad movie. But anyway, I watched it, and I could see the shortcomings. I will not knock Tim Curry at all, because it was phenomenal. The kids were phenomenal, and the overall story was very well done. So I watched that kind of so I could go into the new one with those fresh eyes. There was a lot of expectations and a lot of room that they could use to make it a better movie, honestly. So first off, I want you to know, a lot of people are saying remake. It's not a remake. I know you've probably read reviews, and I've seen videos and reviews where people have said it's a remake, and then people have discussed how it's not a remake. It's definitely not a remake. It's basically a reimagining or a different iteration on the book. It's a different way to take that source material and turn it into a film, such as they did in the old one. I've read the book like 4 times over the course of 15 years or so. I love the book. It's fantastic, although there's a lot of things in the book that are a little kind of out there. I think Stephen King even said when it got toward the end of the book, he was very high on coke when he came up with, if you've read the book, like the turtle and, the spider scene at the end, which I thought was like the worst part of the original one. But anyway, it's a reimagining. It's not a remake. So please don't think that they're going in to try to make this a better movie or anything like that. There's similar scenes that were brought from the book, such as Beverly in the bathroom with the blood, which they took that one step further. The opening scene with, with Georgie meeting Pennywise in the sewer and stuff, they definitely take that one step further. And so I just jump kind of into my review a little bit. It starts off just like the book does, just like the original, with Georgie, taking the boat that him and Bill made down the water, and it gets away from him, it goes into the sewer, and that's where he first meets Pennywise. Starts off very similar to, if you've seen the trailer, how that goes. You definitely see how Bill Skarsgård's performance was with like Pennywise, how he's definitely trying to set himself separately from Tim Curry's performance, which I think is a great idea. I'm sure they looked at it just like we're looking at it. You're not going to top it, so don't try to. So they didn't. Where Tim Curry's performance was a little bit more, I don't want to say serious, but the tone and stuff, they went a different aspect with this. It's a more comical clown approach. And one thing I definitely noticed right off the bat was, in the original, I remember watching it even to this day and saying, even if I was a kid, there's no way I would be talking to Tim Curry like that. I would have tuck off. That's creepy. On this one, although it's still creepy, you could almost see where he was enticing and funny to a kid. He said some really funny stuff, and he started off almost likable, although a little bit creepy, obviously. But I could see more where a kid would want to hear what he had to say and stuff. So it started off like, similar, but it definitely takes a complete detour at the end compared to the first one. I am a parent. I don't like to see kids harmed or anything like that, so I don't want to say that. But, within the first, 5-10 minutes of the movie, if you, I don't want to say like seeing kids harmed, because nobody likes to see kids harmed, but if it bothers you, that's really going to bother you, this scene, because it's extremely graphic. And I'm not used to seeing kids in this kind of danger or that kind of violence happening to a kid like that. So, be prepared, because it's pretty brutal. But one thing I definitely wanted to note or point out was the way that Skarsgård does his portrayal of Pennywise. You can almost see that he gets somewhat of a pleasure from seeing the fear in the kids, or anticipating what he's about to do. What I mean by that is literally, you can see him at one point when he's talking to Georgie, he just stops talking and his eyes kind of roll back in his head, and he starts drooling and he freezes. And he's just like stuck in that moment of, for lack of a better term, pleasure for what he's about to do. And even Georgie's like staring at him like, what is he just staring like this for? It's definitely unsettling. It's very creepy. It's almost somewhat of like a child predator-ish aspect of it, which is what Pennywise is. But, you know, that's not giving really anything away because you've seen this in the trailer and stuff. But that really kicks it off the tone of the movie within the first 10 minutes. Not to give any spoilers, I'm going to do my best not to. But, you know, all the kids were picked perfectly. You really start to pull for the kids. Their chemistry together works really, really well. All the actors are phenomenal. There's a lot of really good scenes where there's comedy. And not only myself, but the rest of the theater was really laughing and pulling behind these characters because they're such likable characters. So what's great is each individual character is just as likable as the next. The only down point I'd say in the characters is Stan. They don't really give him a lot of room, you know, for character advancement. He's just pretty much known as the Jewish kid. Same thing with Mike. He's the black kid, basically. They don't give a lot of details, but you do see the struggles that they go through each individually as being bullied and stuff, which I really like that aspect. A lot of the reviews I've seen and reviews that have went out there has said that there was a lack of character development and it was more toward the scares, which I really don't understand that at all, because I felt like a good portion of the movie was more about the character development and getting to know the characters and how they were. So I don't really get that, and I don't agree with it, because I thought the character development was phenomenal. Like I said, other than the shortcomings of Stan and to a lesser extent Mike, you know, they weren't shown too much with their backstory, but they were showed their bullying and why they were bullied, which I thought was phenomenal. But individually they're fantastic, and together as a group they're even better because they play off each other so well. And the Richie and Eddie dynamic together is phenomenal. I love it. You know, it's just great. Literally, you could have took the horror elements out, and that movie would have still been phenomenal. But then, you know, so I can't knock them at all. They're phenomenal. There's nothing I can say bad about that. Every performance is phenomenal. Super likable. You actually dread for them. You don't want them to get hurt. There's a lot of underlying tones, such as the situation with Bev and her father that was kind of hinted in the original It. And you kind of see a little bit more of that, and it really makes you cringe and worry about her well-being, not necessarily just with Pennywise, but with her situation at home, as with the other kids, you know, with them being bullied and their situations. You kind of feel for them, because even if Pennywise wasn't attacking them, they still have that thing going on at home where it's literally constantly on them, and they're fighting basically just to grow up and be a normal kid. So add that into the fear of now they got to worry about Pennywise as well. It really adds like a danger element that I thought was phenomenal. Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise was top notch. I loved it. I love the different direction they went with on Pennywise. Like I said earlier, he was more of a comical, jokey, but then like he would snap. You know, it's like he couldn't control himself from this basically inside like hunger that he has for kids and what he's doing. Like I said earlier also, it's more of like a child predator-ish. It really makes you uneasy, makes your skin crawl. It's super creepy. And I love the little scenes that you guys will see when you see it, of like, there's a certain situation with, it's not really too much of a spoiler, but Mike is being attacked by the bullies. And while he's getting hit, he looks back when he's on the ground, and he looks in the woods on the edge, and Pennywise is actually watching this and enjoying seeing him get hurt and seeing the violence that's happening to him, and he's enjoying it, and he's he's chewing on an arm and smiling while he's watching this. So, you know, you get that feeling that Pennywise is always on the edge watching, and he loves seeing this stuff. You know, I do think a good 80% of the movie is a lot of character development with the scares popped in, and some really genuinely like terrifying scares. Like, there's a lot of jump scares, but like some of the imagery and the way he acts is just creepy. Like, it's terrifying. Like, just some of the still images and just the looks on his face and the things he's doing is just really unsettling. It's honestly one of like the creepiest and scariest movies I've seen in a theater in a really long time. I think as a horror fan, a huge horror fans are going to appreciate seeing that kind of stuff in theaters that they don't usually see. It's definitely a step up above from like the haunting movies and the ghost movies that you're seeing now. So anyway, you know, a lot of the scares tossed in is in between the character development, which I really like. Like I said, 80% of the film, I believe, is easily character development and building the characters up, which is great, which is really going to pay off in the second chapter when they're adults, with what I heard was flashbacks from when they're younger. It's really going to show the amount that they've moved forward and how this stuff has paid off to make them who they are now as adults. So I'm really looking forward to that. But, you know, the battle scenes are phenomenal. The final battle scene with with Pennywise is phenomenal because you really pull for them and you're like, please let them be able to pull this off and save themselves. And when they do, inevitably to an extent, it's a huge payoff. And literally it was one of those moments where you really want to cheer and be like, yes, they did it. You know, so, you know, it's definitely a roller coaster ride from beginning to end. You grow to like these characters, you see what they've been through, and you really want them to succeed. If you're a casual horror fan or if you're a parent of kids, this movie is going to be disturbing for you. I am somebody that watches a lot of horror films, and I have 2 kids, and it was still disturbing at parts for me. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. It's an entertaining movie, and I don't mean entertaining in the way that it's entertaining to see kids harmed, but the overall struggle of them going through so much of this, being at pre-adolescence, 13 years old, and going through the normal changes that pre-adolescents go through, on top of all this other stuff, it's a lot on them, and to see them triumph through this is it's awesome. That overall arc of the story is awesome. The romance between, you know, the triangle romance between Mike and Bev and Bill is really good because you can tell that they both like her, and she kind of likes both of them, and I really am interested to see how that progresses into the second chapter. So like I said, it's very much a coming-of-age movie, such as, you know, Stand By Me, which is by Stephen King. So it's great on both fronts. It's great as a coming-of-age movie. It's great as a horror movie. They just knocked it out of the park, and I cannot say how much I like this movie. I'm definitely going to go see it again because there were some things that I just like to kind of focus on a little bit more instead of focusing on the whole movie. It's phenomenal. It knocked it out of the park for me, and I can't say enough about it. I highly recommend you go see it as a horror fan, as just a movie fan in general. Go see it. Keep an open mind. Try not to leave the nostalgia glasses on when you're thinking about the other one with Tim Curry, because, like I said, it's a reimagining. So please just go into it, you know, with that, because a lot of people are knocking it because of that, and this movie deserves more than that. So, like I said, this video is now a little over 13 minutes long. I apologize for the long-windedness. I could say a lot more about it, but it's a great movie. I absolutely enjoyed it, and I recommend every one of you guys going and checking it out. Please let me know, you know, what you guys thought, because I like even if it's bad, I like to hear the bad and the good. Obviously, I'm going to totally disagree with the bad, but, you know, everybody's entitled to an opinion. So definitely let me know what you guys thought. It opens today officially. Well, I guess technically yesterday, Thursday, it opened officially. But, you know, the big release date is Friday, so I assume a lot of you guys are going to see it. This weekend, I expect it to break records, and rightfully so it should. This is a horror movie that's a true horror movie all the way, and it's not just a cash grab, pay, and I feel like there's a lot of love put in this movie and dedication. So it deserves to be seen. So you guys go check it out. Let me know how it is, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. So I appreciate you guys listening to 14 minutes of me talk about a movie that I really liked. So take care. Let me know what you guys thought. I think you guys will like it.